Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another session of YouTube live stream. I'm Mrs. Priya Mohorkar from SV Union High School and Junior College, Pune, Maharashtra. I welcome you all to the part 2 of the session which I started yesterday. We are going to start with Standard 10 Science and Technology Part 2, Lesson number 7, Introduction to Microbiology. Let us start. Right, last time we learnt about how the microbes are useful in various fields and useful to mankind, isn't it? So we also learned, let us just have a look. We learned different types of, we learned what is microorganism initially. Microorganisms are tiny organisms, tiny living things. And the study of these microorganisms is called as microbiology. We saw that there are different types of microorganisms. They are the viruses, the obligate parasites, then the bacteria, which might be useful as well as harmful. The third type of microorganism, we saw algae. The fourth type, fungi, and of course the unicellular protozoans. Let us see, we also saw what exactly is microbiology. The branch of science that deals with the study of microorganisms is known as microbiology. We also learned about applied microbiology, the branch of biology in which study of enzymes related to some prokaryotes and eukaryotic microbes, proteins, applied genetics, molecular biology, etc. is performed. We also saw that this applied microbiology is used to produce various products like food and medicines on large scale with the help of microorganisms. We also saw about industrial microbiology, which is a science related to commercial use of microbes. The main features of industrial microbiology is that the various productions with the help of fermentation process like bread, cheese, medicines, enzymes, etc. We saw the use of microbes for even garbage management and pollution control, which we are going to study today. These are the main features of industrial microbiology. And industrial microbiology is useful in different fields. We saw in the last session, we saw about the products formed by fermentation process. We saw probiotics. We talked about microbial enzymes used in chemical industry. Then we talked about even the different products like antibiotics, probiotics. Not only that, we also saw organic acids, we saw vitamins, different substances which were actually produced by the microbial processing and their uses and their roles. Am I right? Now, today we are going to deal with other uses of microorganisms under industrial biomicrobiology as well as applied microbiology. So let us start. Let us just have a recall. So let's recall about last session where we saw microbes used in dairy industry like Lactobacillus species and Streptococcus species. We also saw microbes used as probiotics like Acidophilus, Lactobacillus, Spirulina, Chlorella species and all. We saw that the microbes were also used in baking industry and the production of vinegar and beverages like microbes like Saccharomyces, that is yeast, Acetobacter, Gluconobacter, Aspergillus and Candida. All these helped in different production of different products and beverages. Now, microbial enzymes are also used as catalysts okay, as chemical catalysts in chemical industry, in leather industry, and also in textile industry. Microbes used in the production of various organic acids, vitamins, and antibiotics. This is what we saw under industrial microbiology. I hope you all must have gone through what is given in the textbook and also referred to other reference books. So I hope you must have understood the role of microbes in different industries under industrial microbiology. Let us continue with today's session. Before we start with it, can you tell, students, can you tell which different materials are decomposed in biogas plant? Let me tell you, materials like cow dung or cattle dung, garden waste, domestic kitchen waste, and other organic waste are all decomposed in a biogas plant. Okay. Now, if you just see which useful materials are obtained through it and which is the fuel out of those materials which are being produced, can you just tell, can you just try to tell your own self? Let me tell you, methane gas, organic manure are obtained from it. Methane gas is actually the biogas fuel obtained from it. Let me ask you one more question. The decomposition occurs through which organisms? Now, in a biogas plant, decomposition occurs. Decomposition of organic matter occurs. You all know now. And you are learning from lower classes also. But this decomposition process occurs through which organisms, students? Actually, decomposition occurs through decomposing microbes, microorganisms, like the decomposing bacteria and the fungi. We call the bacteria and the fungi as decomposers, right? So now let us see these microorganisms, how are they useful for the environment? So let us see the role of microbes in the environment under microbes and environment. First of all, as we started with the biogas plant, we all know now that microbes like bacteria and fungi are used to decompose the organic matter, and the products of this decomposition process is the methane gas mainly. So it forms the gaseous fuel. So let us see how microbes play an important role in production of fuels now. So biogas is actually the fuel which is a type of gaseous fuel. We know that biogas is chemically called as methane gas, right? And this methane can be obtained by microbial anaerobic decomposition of the urban agricultural and industrial waste materials, right? So what is meant by anaerobic decomposition? The process of decomposition under anaerobic condition, that is under the conditions where oxygen is absent. Okay, during decomposition process, if oxygen is absent and still the microbial decomposition is taking place, then such a decomposition is called as microbial anaerobic decomposition. And the decomposition of agricultural, urban and industrial waste actually are being decomposed by these microorganisms to produce methane gas, which is a gaseous fuel. It is, of course, you all know now, eco-friendly fuel, isn't it? Right. So you can see you have learned about the biogas plant already, how the biogas is being produced in a biogas plant. So you have studied about it already. Let us continue. Another fuel called as the ethanol. It is an alcohol basically, that is a clean but smokeless fuel which is obtained during fermentation process of molasses, a carbohydrate. By this fermentation process is taken up by the single cell fungi commonly known as yeast, or otherwise the Saccharomyces species. Okay. So ethanol is said to be a clean and smokeless fuel, and Saccharomyces species actually act on the molasses, the carbohydrate molasses, and this process of fermentation is going to give the product that is ethanol. Ethanol is also a liquid fuel. Okay, it is also a kind of eco-friendly fuel. Now let us see, similar to the fuels, various industrial chemicals are also produced through microbial processes. Okay, for example, various alcohols, acetones, organic acids, fatty acids, polysaccharides, etc. are all useful, and these are useful as raw materials in food, chemical, as well as plastic industries. Now, another fuel called as the hydrogen gas. Now, this hydrogen gas is considered to be the future fuel of future. Okay, the future fuel. Now, why is it considered? Because it is the most eco-friendly gas, eco-friendly type of fuel, which is released during the bio-photolysis of water, in which actually the bacteria is going to perform the photoreduction. So certain bacteria, as well as some of the cyanobacteria, that is blue-green algae, which are unicellular or filamentous blue-green algae, they generally undergo biophotolysis of water during the process called photoreduction. Photoreduction, that is reduction of water in the presence of light. Photos means light, reduction is splitting up or breaking down of that is addition of hydrogen, or otherwise you can say gaining of electrons, okay, for the formation of hydrogen gas. Now this hydrogen gas is considered to be the fuel of future. So here too, microorganisms like bacteria and blue-green algae or cyanobacteria help in production of a eco-friendly fuel called as the hydrogen gas. Got it? You can see the picture where you can see the dark fermentation, light independent fermentation, where the cell biomass undergoes a fermentation process on the sugar, and the anaerobic bacteria are going to produce the hydrogen gas as a product of that fermentation of the biophotolysis process. Whereas sometimes the by direct and indirect photolysis, which is also light dependent, microalgae like cyanobacteria are going to produce this hydrogen gas during the biophotolysis of water. In this manner, hydrogen gas is released, and hydrogen gas can be used as a fuel, which can be environment friendly, right? Next, let us see certain biofuels. Now, biofuels, you all know about biofuels now because they are biologically produced fuels, and these biofuels are important among the renewable sources of good energy, right? Green energy, I will also add up there. Now, the reliable fuels of the future are all these biofuels. These fuels are actually available in solid, liquid, as well as gaseous forms. The solid fuels are obtained from are the coal. The sources of solid fuels are coal, the cattle dung, the residues of the crop harvested in the agricultural arenas. The liquid fuels are the vegetable oils and alcohol, whereas gaseous fuels are the gobar gas, which is nothing but our biogas, that is methane gas, as well as the coal gas. So these biofuels are also a product of the microbial processes. Let us see how the microbes help in even controlling or reducing pollution. So let us see this under microbial pollution control. Solid waste, sewage, and various pollutants are ever increasing, isn't it? With increase in pollution, that actually causes lots of diseases and degradation of the environment. Now, actually, this increase in the pollution is basically caused by population explosion. Dense population is one of the top listed reason for such environmental problems. So the role of microbes here is very crucial, where exactly the waste disposal takes place, okay, through biogas plant. Now microbes, we have already learned, just now learned, that they play an important role in production of biogas in the biogas plant. And not only that, they undergo decomposition processes and help in formation of compost production. And this production of the compost and the biogas is the major role that the microbes play in disposal of the solid waste and the sewage, reducing the amount of pollutants in the environment. This is how the microbes play an important role in controlling pollution of the environment. There you can see how the picture shows how exactly the green environment is being supported by microorganisms. Now let's think, why is it asked to segregate wet and dry waste in each home? You all know now home is a source of generation of waste. Okay, maybe it may be organic waste or plastic waste or any kind of waste, right? Most probably home is a source of generation of waste. Waste has to be segregated or separated into wet waste and dry waste at the source itself, right? So that we can properly dispose it, okay, and we can manage and we can handle the waste and manage so that we can dispose it properly. So home is a source of generation of waste. Waste is to be segregated at the source basically into wet and dry waste to manage its proper disposal. Then what is done with the segregated waste? Okay, fine. We have segregated wet and dry waste at the source, that is at home itself. Then what is done with that segregated waste? The segregated waste is accordingly disposed by subjecting it to either decomposition or reuse or recycle process. Got it, all of you? So which is the most appropriate method of disposal of dry waste then? We know wet waste consists of the organic waste, right, which can be easily decomposed and converted into compost, right? What about the dry waste then? Now dry waste may contain glass, metallic items, metallic substances, or even plastic, right, paper. So all these materials under that are classified under dry waste can be disposed by either reusing it or recycling it or dumping it. Okay, if we are going to dump it, then it will undergo decomposition, of course, but according to the type of waste we have to dispose it properly. So the dry waste can be disposed by reusing it, recycled, or dumped according to their type, according to the type of the waste. Okay, right. So I hope you have thought in a better way that we have to segregate the domestic waste into wet and dry waste. So let us see if at all this waste goes to the dumping sites. So let us talk about the dumping sites, or we call it as land filling sites. Now, what are the land filling sites? What exactly and how they are built? Let us just have a look in brief and how they are going to help in disposal of waste. Land filling sites. The degradable waste that is accumulated in the urban areas is used to fill up these places. What are land filling sites actually? They are large pits, okay, that are dug in open spaces far away from the residential areas. They have to be away from residential areas because the waste may contain lots of substances that are irritable, that may contain even pathogens. So it has to be built up far away from residential areas. Is that clear? So landfilling sites are large pits that are dug in open spaces far away from the residential areas. These pits are lined with plastic sheets as a precaution against pollution of soil. Okay, so we have to take precaution that if at all the waste undergoes decomposition, then the byproducts, the products or the byproducts should not leach in the soil, because they may contain those byproducts and products may contain toxic, poisonous and harmful materials. So we have to take care that these pits are lined with plastic sheets as a precaution against the pollution of soil due to the leaching of toxic and harmful materials that may take place. Is that clear? So you can see a picture of modern landfill site given over there, right? And you have already learned about the structure and how it exactly is built up in the lower classes. So let us continue. The compressed waste is actually dumped in this pit, okay, and covered with layers of soil, sawdust, leafy waste, as well as some specific biochemicals. These completely filled pit is actually sealed with soil slurry. What is soil slurry? Nothing but a mixture of soil with water. A liquidy substance is prepared and it is being just sealed, is actually poured on the completely filled pits and sealed, right? Now these the microbes present in the soil decomposes the solid waste, okay, that is being filled in the pits. The best quality compost is then formed after few days. Such landfilling sites are the best places of production of good compost, which can be used in the agriculture. Not only that, the microorganisms get favorable conditions to grow well and decompose every type of material, organic matter that is filled in these pits. Such landfilling sites can be reused after the removal of compost whenever necessary. Okay, right. So that is about the landfilling sites. Next, let us see about the management of sewage. Now, sewage, you all know, has to be managed in a very proper manner. In villages, generally, the domestic sewage is disposed of either in the nearby soil, that is in the fields, agricultural fields, or in a biogas plant, right? And of course, methane gas is being produced that can be utilized as a gobar gas or as a biogas for domestic purposes. However, in cities, sewage needs to be carried to processing unit and acted upon by microbial processes. The microbes which can decompose any compound as well as destroy even the pathogens, that is the causing agents, which are nothing but the germs of diseases, okay, like cholera, typhoid, etc., which are mixed with the sewage. So these microbes take utmost responsibility of decomposing every substance every organic substance in the sewage. They release methane gas and carbon dioxide gas by decomposing the carbon compounds, the organic compounds present in the sewage. So here also the biogas, the methane gas is being produced during the decomposition of carbon compounds or organic compounds. So sewage is also managed by the microbes. Not only that, there are certain phenol oxidizing bacteria that decomposes the xenobiotic chemicals present in the sewage. Now, xenobiotic chemicals are actually chemicals which are not decomposed by these bacteria. They are not decomposed, but they are just being taken inside the cells and they are being, the chemicals enter the bacterial cells and stay there. They are just being stored without being decomposed or without being processed inside the cells. The sludge that settles down in this process can again be used as a fertilizer, right? So these different types of microbes help in even production of fertilizer by decomposing the sewage. Water which is released during this microbial treatment is environmentally safe, right? Because it may leach and may join the underground water, but still it is environmentally safe, right? Microbes are used for bioremediation of environment polluted due to this sewage. Now these microbes not only help in treatment of the sewage, but are also helpful in bioremediation of the environment polluted due to this sewage. Okay, so not only in the treatment of sewage, but also microbes play a very important role, that is in a newer technology called as the clean technology. Now, what is clean technology? Clean technology is actually the technology where the microorganisms are being used and utilized, exploited to reduce environmental pollution, right? To keep our environment, to keep our surroundings clean. You all know now that human beings has made a very fast progress in technology, right? And not only in technology as well as in environmental pollution. Am I right? Now, we need to nowadays reduce this pollution, take control and keep control of the pollution and keep our environment clean, right? And free of pollutants. But this is not an easy affair. Different ways of controlling air pollution, water pollution, and soil pollution with the help of microbes is very necessary nowadays. So microbes actually are being exploited and used to keep all the different types of pollution under control. Microbes generally have a natural ability of decomposing the man-made materials. Man-made materials, man-made chemicals are all actually harmful to our environment. You all know that, we are all facing it. So we are dependent on these microbes that have a very natural ability to decompose these pollutants. We call them as man-made chemicals and pollutants. Right. So not only that, hydrocarbons and other chemicals are transformed with the help of these microbes and their best natural abilities. Let us see how. Some microbes remove sulfur from fuels. Some metals like copper, iron, uranium, which is a heavy metal of course, zinc, etc., leach into the environment from low quality metalloids. Form low quality metalloids. Now these metals are converted into compounds, their compounds, okay, before they leach into the environment, into the soil or into the air with the help of certain bacteria called as Thiobacilli and Sulphobacilli bacteria. You can see the pictures of it here. Not only that, the spilling of petroleum occurs, oil and petroleum may occur in ocean, seas, isn't it? Sometimes there might be some kind of fire, some kind of accident, an incident where the cargo ships carrying oil, petroleum, crude oil, or any type of flammable substance may undergo some kind of accident and spill the oil on the surface of the ocean. This spilled oil may prove fatal, may be very dangerous, may be toxic to the aquatic organisms as well as birds which are dependent on those aquatic organisms. As it is not easy to actually remove the oil layer from the surface of those waters by simple mechanical methods, okay? However, we have bacteria for that, we have microorganisms for that, and certain bacteria like the Pseudomonas species, the Alcanovorax borcumensis have the ability to destroy the pyridines and other chemicals. So we can use these microbes to actually remove the oil layer from the surface of oceans and seas, right? Hence, these bacteria are used to clear the oil spills. These are actually called as Hydrocarbonoclastic Bacteria, HCB bacteria. That is because they are clearing up all the hydrocarbons that are spilled on the surface of the seas and oceans. You can see a picture of Pseudomonas species over there, which is very, very important, as well as Alcanovorax borcumensis has that ability to destroy the chemicals present in the oils or petrol, different hydrocarbons. Now these HCB bacteria decomposes the hydrocarbons and brings about the reaction of carbon and hydrogen. Thus, actually carbon dioxide and water are formed during this process, this decomposition process. Okay, right. So Pseudomonas species as well as Alcanovorax species are very, very important to clear up the oil spills. Plastic bottles, we all use it every day. Every home has a bottle, plastic bottle, isn't it? Right, in some or the other form. So plastic bottles are formed from the chemical substance called as polyethylene terephthalate polyester, that is PET. We call them as PET bottles, right? PET bottle. Now, most of the urban garbage contains these bottles. Not only these bottles, the carry bags that people use, that is made up of very low quality plastic. So most of the urban garbage contains plastic bottles and low quality plastic. This plastic can also be decomposed by microbes like Vibrio Ideonella saccharensis. Similarly, species of certain fungi like actinomycetes, streptomyces, nocardia, actinoplanes, etc. have the ability of decomposing rubber from the garbage. Okay, so you can see Ideonella, how does it exactly stick on the water bottle? That is just a representation, and as well as actinomyces that help in decomposing the plastics. Plastic bottles, PET bottles. Let us see, there are other ways in which microbes are used. Sulfuric acid, which is present in the acid rain. Now, what is acid rain? You all know that whenever rain falls, pours down, whenever there is precipitation of water as rain, it mixes with the sulfur trioxide gases, sometimes even the nitrogen oxides in the form of gaseous nitrogen oxides, and they may form different types of acids. And along with those acids that are the gases that are mixed with the acid with the rainwater actually forms an acid rain. The sulfuric acid, which is present in the acid rain and the mining materials, that causes actually erosion of large statues, buildings and bridges also. This sulfuric acid actually is a source of energy, okay, for certain bacteria like the Acidophilium species and Acidobacillus Acidobacillus ferroxidens. Hence, these bacteria can control the soil pollution, the erosion of certain buildings and bridges that occur due to this acid rain. Okay. Now, water-soluble salts of uranium are present in the waste produced during certain electroplating processes, and during this process the effluents that are released into the environment from an atomic energy plant may also take place. Now these may cause soil pollution Of course, they cause soil pollution, they cause environmental pollution. So these heavy metals, these effluents can be converted into insoluble compounds by a bacteria named as geobacter. The geobacter bacteria converts these salts of uranium, which are soluble salts of uranium, into insoluble salts, and thereby it prevents those salts to mix with the groundwater sources during leaching. Okay, so the acidiphilium species and the geobacter species play an important role in of course preventing pollution due to acid rain, as well as due to the effluents which are being let out, causing damage to the environment. Right. Next, let us see how the microbes are also useful in farming. Right. So let us see how they are useful in farming in agriculture. Some microbes containing inoculants are produced by the process of fermentation. We all know that, isn't it? How do you know about these? You must have learnt about the rhizobium bacteria which are present in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Do you remember? We have learned in lower classes that rhizobium is a bacteria, is a symbiotic bacteria that lives in the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Okay, that is all the pea pods, peas producing plants. They are called as legumes, right? And these rhizobium bacteria help in production of help in fixing of nitrogen from the atmosphere in the form of nitrates and nitrites, and provide these nitrates and nitrites to the plant so as the plant can produce lots of proteins, plant proteins, and these proteins can also are very useful for us. These plants become very rich in proteins, and these plant products, that is peas, are said to be very rich in proteins. The pulses which we eat are rich in proteins because they are the seeds, they are the cotyledonous part of the seed that contain lots and lots of proteins. This is because of the rhizobium bacteria that are in symbiotic relationship with the leguminous plants, okay, with the root inside the roots of leguminous plants. So the same way, certain microbes containing some inoculants which we can use are produced during the process of fermentation process. Okay, now these inoculants are actually sprayed on seeds, or sometimes they are soaked in the seeds are soaked in those inoculants before they are being sowed. So what exactly happens? The microbes enter the seeds, the cells of the seeds, and these inoculants are released inside the plants as they grow, inside the crops as they grow. They are actually helping out. They attain a symbiotic relationship with those microorganisms, and the microorganisms help in the good growth of these crop plants. Okay, the microbes in those inoculants help in the plant growth by supplying nutrients and improve the quality of the vegetarian food, of course, not only the crop food, the crops, okay, which we require, and of course which gives us lots of energy. Not only that, we are surviving on those agricultural yields. Am I right? So we need to improve agricultural yields nowadays. For that, we can use these microbes. Okay, right. Actually the solutions containing azotobacter and certain artificial nitrogenase enzymes which can be used as inoculants, and these inoculants can help in good growth of the crops and yield, the crop yield will be very nutritious. So they can be used in organic farming nowadays. They are being used in organic farming nowadays. Next, let us see how the microbes play an important role in controlling soil pollution. So under microbes and soil pollution. Soil pollution occurring due to chemical fertilizers prevented due to the use of these solutions. Fluoroacetamide-like chemicals are actually mixed with the soil. Due to the use of chemical pesticides in agriculture, you all know in agricultural fields, pesticides are being used. Now, along with the pesticides, fluoroacetamide-like chemicals are also being mixed with the soil. This causes toxic effect because these chemicals, they prove harmful, toxic to not only crop plants but also to the animals present in the soil. Not only that, that may enter into the bioaccumulation into the food chain, causing skin diseases in human beings also. So these chemicals prove harmful to plants, animals, as well as they may cause skin diseases in human beings. These chemical pesticides in the soil can actually be destroyed by using microbes and help in preventing or reducing soil pollution. Let us talk about certain bio-insecticides. Okay, now you all know insecticides are the chemical substances that are show killing action against insects. But instead of doing that, instead of killing insects, not only kill these insecticides not only kill insects but also cause toxic effects on the plants as well as cause problems to the consumers. That is why the field of agriculture is turning towards biotechnology, a new field where bioinsecticides are being preferred. They are being produced so as to reduce the use of chemical insecticides. Bacterial and fungal toxins which can destroy pests and pathogens can be directly integrated into plants with the help of biotechnology. Right now, how the field of biotechnology, the technique under biotechnology are being used, we'll be learning in the next session. So be prepared for that, students. Okay, that's more interesting. So these bacterial and fungal toxins which can destroy the pests and pathogens can be integrated into plants directly with the help of biotechnological processes. Being toxic, insects do not consume these plants. So these plants become toxic to the insects, and that is why the insects cannot consume these plants. Similar to bacteria, there are certain species of fungi also and viruses which are also useful as pesticides. Okay, there is one particular byproduct of fermentation which is a biopesticide. It is called as the spinosad, which is generally being utilized nowadays and act as bioinsecticide. Right, students, that is all in this session. That was the last part of this lesson. Let us see in two live lessons we have learned. What we have learned, let us just summarize. We learned what is microbiology. We learned what is applied microbiology. We also learned about industrial microbiology, as well as various products which are produced using the microorganisms under microbial products. We also saw that various uses of microorganisms in various fields like economic, social, medical, and environmental arenas. That is all in this session, students. I hope you enjoyed both the live sessions of this chapter number 7, Introduction to Microbiology, and I hope it helps you out to understand the use and the roles of microorganisms in different fields and study microbiology in future if you are interested. Thank you so much, students, and all the best. Thank you.